Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the really fascinating and yet pretty complex theories about a hidden numerical code tucked away inside the Quran.
For some people, the Holy Book is so much more than a text for spiritual guidance. They see it as a divine web of wisdom, one that's woven with these incredibly intricate numerical patterns. The idea is that this structure is there to prove its divine origin and protect it from ever being changed.
So, to help us on this exploration, we're going to follow a character, a persona from our source material we'll call the seeker of Quranic details. This is someone who follows these numerical threads, hoping to find a deeper meaning. Okay, let's get into it.
So our seeker's journey kicks off with one big premise, that the way the Quran is structured isn't random at all. It actually contains a very deliberate mathematical signature. And proponents of this theory believe this code is the ultimate proof of its divine origin and the very thing that ensures its perfect preservation.
This idea, it's actually rooted in the Islamic concept of a preserved tablet. Think of it like a celestial, unchangeable master copy of the Quran. This suggests that the text's integrity is guaranteed, maybe even mathematically, right from the very beginning.
Okay, so if there's a code, how in the world would you even begin to unlock it? Well, according to those who believe in it, it all starts with a few key tools. The first key is the basmalah. This is the invocation you'll find at the beginning of 113 of the Quran's 114 chapters, or surahs. So it's this constant, repeating element that's just woven all the way through the text. And this brings us to a really foundational number in this theory, a number that proponents see as a kind of master key to the entire system, 19.
Now, for the people who study this is where it gets really interesting. They'll tell you that the number 19 isn't just a coincidence. They point to the fact that the basmalah has exactly 19 letters, and that the Quran has 114 chapters, which just happens to be 19 times 6. They see this as evidence of a very deliberate design.
The second tool in the Seeker's Kit is a method called digit summing. It's a pretty simple idea, really. You just take the digits of any number and add them all together. Seekers use this to find hidden connections between numbers that seem totally unrelated, reducing them down to what they believe are more fundamental values. So, with these keys in hand, the basmalah, the number 19, and digit summing, our seeker can now start connecting parts of the text that seem miles apart, creating these threads in what they call a numeric tapestry. Let's walk through a specific example from the source material, just so you can see how this actually works. We'll start with the number 1729, which is actually famous in the world of mathematics. Okay, so first step, you sum its digits. 1 plus 7 plus 2 plus 9, which equals 19. Bam, there's our first link, right back to the 19 letters of the basmalah. But then the connection gets a little more abstract. A symbolic link is proposed between 1729 and the number 2197, which just so happens to be 13 cubed. And that number, 13, becomes the final key, pointing directly to Surah 13 of the Quran, which is titled The Thunder. So what's the whole point of that? Well, for the seeker, this is not just a random game of connect the dots. It's seen as a deliberate, multi-layered puzzle. A unique mathematical number gets connected through a series of steps to a specific chapter with a very specific theme, in this case, thunder. So now that we've seen how these individual connections are made, let's kind of zoom out. What is the supposed purpose of this whole system? Why would this divine web of numbers even exist in the first place? Well, proponents argue that these numerical links actually serve a higher purpose, to highlight a deeper thematic coherence in the text. This is a concept in Quranic studies known as munasabah, which is all about exploring those profound, often hidden links between different verses and chapters. And here's a great example of this in action. The sources propose a kind of thematic flow. You start with creation, which establishes God's power, which then necessitates divine guidance for humanity. And that guidance, in turn, allows for the possibility of divine mercy. From this perspective, the numerical links aren't just random, they're like signposts that highlight this deeper thematic journey through the text. So ultimately, the claim is that these numerical patterns aren't just cold, hard math. They're believed to form a numeric tapestry, one that's woven with threads of grace, a proof of divine authorship that's meant to be both beautiful and mathematically precise.
Now, of course, it's really important to state that this entire field is highly speculative, and these interpretations are definitely not universally accepted. Skeptics, including many mainstream Islamic scholars, argue that these patterns are just the result of confirmation bias, actively looking for connections that fit a theory you already have. They might suggest it's a form of data manipulation, where you just keep trying different combinations until one happens to fit.
For the seeker, though, this isn't really about proving a settled science. It's more about the ongoing spiritual and intellectual journey. It's a very personal quest for meaning.
And for the seeker, the search goes way, way beyond the number 19. They find significance in the number 7. They trace complex paths through the 99 names of Allah. And they even take on one of the Quran's greatest puzzles, the muqatta'at, those mysterious initial letters at the start of 29 chapters that have fascinated scholars for centuries.
In the end, this whole journey is framed not as some rigid mathematical proof, but as a dance between knowledge and faith. It's a way of engaging with the text that combines that intellectual curiosity with a deep spiritual devotion, an attempt to see harmony in every single detail.
And that leaves us with a final thought to mull over. In the search for meaning within any sacred text, where is that line between uncovering a hidden divine pattern and creating one ourselves? Thanks for watching.